In this video, we're going to be learning how to make a classical roux. Roux is a thickening agent made up of fat and flour. You can use any type of wheat flour you like. Most people would agree that all-purpose is perfectly good. Some texts prefer using bread flour. Understand that the type of flour that you use, the starch content, will obviously impact the thickening power of the roux, but all-purpose is a pretty safe bet. As far as the fat, classically, clarified butter would be an excellent choice, but again, any fat will do. The flavor of the fat you choose is obviously going to impact the flavor of the final dish. At this point, all we need is some liquid fat. You'll notice that the heat is turned off, and all we're doing at this stage is combining our flour and our fat. The proper texture that we're looking for would be that of wet sand. If you wanted to be more precise and you were measuring the flour and the fat, if you measure it by weight, most people would agree that equal parts by weight is appropriate. If you're measuring it by volume, most people go with the ratio of 2 parts fat to 3 parts flour by volume. So when we're happy with our consistency, we're going to begin to heat the roux. Notice that we are using a spoon at this point. Using a metal whisk and a metal pan, specifically an aluminum pan, could cause the color of the roux to discolor, turning a grayish color. So to avoid that, we'll be using a plastic spoon. Heat-resistant plastic spoon because roux gets very hot. So we are heating our roux, flour and fat combined, consistency of wet sand, and at this point, as we heat our product, we are beginning to cook it to the first stage, which is called white roux. At the white roux stage, you're going to notice that it starts to smell slightly toasty, buttery, but you will notice no color change. What we're trying to do is to cook out some of the raw, floury, starchy flavor. At this point, patience is certainly in order. And to avoid getting too much color too quickly, we would definitely recommend a medium to medium-low heat. The 4 main colors of roux are white, blonde, brown, and then some people would say dark, burnt, black, or Cajun. They're all made in the same way, except that we just cook each one longer than the one before. So again, to reach white roux, we've combined our flour and our fat. We are cooking until it starts to smell lightly toasted, buttery, but we see no color change. Once we are happy with our white roux, the next stage to move on to would be blonde roux. Again, it's the same combination of flour and fat, we just cook it longer. The transition from white to blonde roux actually takes a little longer than you would think, despite the minimal color change. As we move on to the next stage, we will notice that the toastiness will increase. It'll have a more pronounced aroma. I've often even told students I believe that it smells slightly like microwave popcorn. And then you will notice a slight color change as it becomes a little bit darker. But white roux and blonde roux next to each other, the color change is pretty minimal. After blonde roux, the next stage that we're going to go for is brown roux. Again, same combination of flour and fat, we'll just be cooking it even longer. Now, the color change from blonde roux to brown roux happens a little quicker than you would imagine, so you just want to be careful. You'll notice the aroma becomes considerably more pronounced, very toasty, very nutty. Again, an aromatic cue I've often shared with my students is that it may even start to smell a little bit like burnt microwave popcorn. And you'll also notice that the color difference will become dramatically darker. Now, we want to remember that there is a difference between brown roux and the 4th color, which we said was dark, burnt, black, or Cajun, so we don't want to go too far at this stage. But to create a brown roux, you would definitely notice there is a distinct color change between brown and blonde. And when you are new to roux making, it's highly recommended that you do this on a medium to medium-low heat. high heat, everything starts to happen pretty quickly. And for a properly made roux, it should have a uniform color throughout. You don't want to have a lighter colored roux and then dark flecks. So we have definitely reached brown roux at this point. We've turned off our heat, and we're just going to stir a little bit more. Roux does get quite hot, so you should definitely expect some carryover cooking to happen, which is why even off the heat, we're going to continue to stir to create a uniform color. It should certainly be kept in mind that the color of the roux is drastically going to influence the color of the finished product, the flavor of the finished product, and we must remember that the rule is the darker the roux, the less thickening power it has. So white roux will obviously have greater thickening power than blonde roux. Blonde roux will have greater thickening power than brown roux. Overall, making roux is a pretty simple task, not hard to master, and extremely important moving forward in the classical French kitchen.